8. Denise Rossy. In 1996, Denise Rossy, a woman who'd recently struck big and hit the jackpot with a $1.3 million lottery win, suddenly found herself in a heated divorce battle with her husband, Thomas Rossy, after 25 peaceful years of marriage. But the thing that really makes this story so interesting is the timing of Denise's lottery victory and her decision to keep the money hidden from her soon-to-be ex-spouse. Just 11 days after striking it rich in a US lottery, Denise decided to file for divorce, and she chose not to share her newly found fortune with Thomas during the divorce proceedings, a decision that would later come back to bite her. Years after their divorce, Thomas received an unexpected letter from a company who specialized in lump sum payments for lottery winners. The letter, which was addressed to Denise, revealed that they could help in converting future annual lottery payments into a large lump sum. This revelation left Thomas shocked and curious about what his ex-wife was keeping secret from him. As the case quickly unfolded in court, it was revealed that Denise actually had the original lottery prize sent to her mum's address, keeping it far away from Thomas's knowledge. Denise explained, once confronted, that she'd actually wanted to end the marriage for quite some time, citing her desire to move on as the reason for her deceptive actions. On the other hand, Thomas said that he was completely taken by surprise and felt blindsided by Denise's actions. He remembered how she begged him to leave their shared home as fast as possible, which seemed uncharacteristic of her behavior at the time. In the end, though, Thomas was able to secure a legal injunction after finding the revealing letter and took Denise straight to court. The judge ruled that Denise violated laws regarding the disclosure of assets and funds and acted with fraudulent intent or malice. As a result, Denise, who was 49 at the time, was ordered to pay her ex-husband, who was 65, a total of 20 annual installments of $66,800 each, essentially forfeiting the entire amount of her lottery winnings. Denise's lawyer, Connolly Euler, thought that she might have been able to keep some of the winnings if she'd just been honest about them during the original divorce proceedings. He explains that they could have argued successfully that the money was her private property or reached some sort of split compromise. But unfortunately, the judge's decision leaned heavily in Thomas's favor, leaving Denise with practically nothing. 7. Rebecca Jemison. In the winter of 2004, a dramatic dispute took place in Cleveland over a massive $162 million lottery jackpot. The story focused on two women, Alicia Battle and Rebecca Jemison, as well as a lost ticket, ultimately sparking a legal battle with finders keepers versus fraud. Alicia Battle initially came forward with a tear-jerking tale of losing her lottery ticket outside a convenience store, causing a thorough search in the snow-covered parking lot with flashlights. But Rebecca Jemison, after hearing Battle's claim, decided not to delay any longer. She submitted her own ticket and collected prize money from the December 30th drawing. Jemison, who was 34 at the time, explained that she was angry at first but untroubled, since she was confident in her rightful ownership of the winning ticket. The situation took a turn for the worse when police, who'd initially found Battle's story believable, started investigating whether she'd lied in her police report, a misdemeanor that could end in jail time. Rebecca Jemison, in a significant move, decided to turn the ticket in at the Ohio Lottery headquarters. It was then validated as the sole winning ticket for the drawing, with the lottery expressing complete confidence that Jemison legitimately purchased the ticket, instead of believing that she'd simply stumbled upon it. Jemison provided even more evidence by presenting another ticket purchased at the same time and place as the winning one, and an old ticket showing that she had played the exact same numbers in the previous drawing. Alicia Battle reacted to this shocking development by filing a lawsuit to stop any prize payouts to Jemison. She firmly maintained her belief that her ticket had been lost and she could remember all the numbers, which actually held personal significance for her. Battle also claimed that she played honestly. Jemison, who handles telephone and doctor paging duties for a suburban hospital, expressed her eagerness to purchase a new home, take a vacation, and share her winnings with her family members, including her loving husband and 12-year-old daughter. She opted for a lump sum payment of $94 million before taxes, which was still a substantial $67.2 million after everything was said and done. But in response to this, Battle's attorney Sheldon Stark chose to argue that the winning ticket should be considered Battle's lost property, since money is typically not presumed to be abandoned. But the Ohio Lottery maintained that the ticket, being a bearer note, legally belonged to whoever first turned in the valid ticket as proof. 6. Andrew Jack Whitaker Jr. In West Virginia during 2002, Andrew Jack Whitaker Jr.'s life was forever changed when he won a whopping $315 million jackpot lottery on Christmas Day. His win quickly threw him straight into the spotlight, making him an overnight celebrity, since at the time it was the largest US lottery jackpot ever won with a single ticket. He and his family even flew on private jets to make appearances on morning talk shows, discussing his new incredible fortune and the $113.4 million lump sum he was given. But after his big win and stroke of luck, Whitaker's life took a turn for the worse. Struggling with drinking and gambling addiction, he also found himself facing personal challenges, including a divorce from his wife. Legal troubles soon followed, as he was charged twice with driving while under the influence and was sued by casino employees for incidents of alleged assault. Further tragedy hit his family with multiple heartbreaking deaths, including his drug-addicted granddaughter's friend who was discovered dead in his home during 2004, followed by the loss of his 17-year-old granddaughter only a few months later. Then in 2009, his daughter, Ginger Whitaker Bragg, also succumbed to cancer after a long, difficult battle. Reflecting on his rocky journey, Whitaker expressed regret, saying, "I wish I'd torn that ticket up after his daughter's passing." Over the years, he also faced several setbacks, including the loss of a Virginia home to a fire in 2016 and multiple burglaries that cost him over $100,000. Sadly, as time wore on, Whitaker experienced even more financial difficulties, and by the time of his death in 2020 at the age of 72, he'd reportedly gone completely broke. This story reminds us that money can't always buy happiness, and that even hundreds of millions of dollars can't fix deep-rooted personal issues. 5. King of Chavs. Michael Carroll, an Englishman who won a £9.7 million payout back in 2002, suddenly saw his life take a turbulent turn after he hit the jackpot. Initially dubbed the King of Chavs for his overly flashy style, he spiraled into a sad world of drugs, alcohol, and brothels. Carroll proudly claimed to have slept with over 4,000 women and openly discussed paying for these sexual services, often starting his day bright and early with drugs and alcohol. His extravagant parties included naked women serving cocaine to guests on trays, and he indulged in his relationships with up to 8 women at once. These celebrations cost up to £50,000 and heavily revolved around drugs and sex. Carroll soon developed a severe addiction to cocaine, spending up to £2,000 daily on the habit. He described his home as a constant hub full of intimate activities, with women available at any time. Despite the severe toll on his health, including becoming a full-blown alcoholic and indulging in drugs and vodka in the mornings, Carroll said that he had no regrets, considering his lottery win the best 10 years of his life. He did actually make significant investments during his wealthier days, including buying a mansion that he promptly neglected, investing in his beloved Rangers football club, and buying gold. But declaring bankruptcy in 2013 marked the start of his downward spiral. After a short stint in a homeless shelter and multiple manual labor jobs, he moved to Scotland to work as a coal delivery man and decided to reunite with his ex-wife. Now living a much simpler life, Carroll is happy despite having squandered his massive fortune, declaring himself a skint lottery winner and counting himself lucky to still be alive. 4. Lee Ryan. There's an incredible story from England in 1995 that stands out, featuring Lee Ryan, a man who literally went from rags to riches before jumping right back to rags again. Back in 1995, Lee Ryan hit the jackpot, scooping up a jaw-dropping sum of £6.5 million. But he soon dubbed this gift from the gods a curse, thanks to the tumultuous journey it triggered in his life. The saga took a very dark turn as he went through 2 divorces and a stunning descent into homelessness, rock bottom. Before his lottery win, Lee was already living in hot water, facing legal charges for his involvement with stolen cars. In a bizarre twist of fate, he was sentenced to serve 18 months behind bars later that same year, ultimately only serving 9. This made him the first British lottery winner to find himself incarcerated. What followed was a roller coaster of lavish, naive spending that quickly drained his newfound wealth. Lee's shopping list included a £1 million country mansion and a horde of high-end automobiles like Bentleys and Ferraris, each outfitted with personalized number plates bearing variations of Lee. His mansion included extravagant amenities like a tennis court, swimming pool, sauna, jacuzzi, and even a games room that rivaled any high-end resort. In addition to these luxury purchases, Lee decided to splurge on 2 Ducati superbikes, a £125,000 plane, and even a £235,000 Bell Jet Ranger helicopter. But Lee's newfound riches came with their challenges. He once prayed every night for wealth while in prison, but he soon realized that money brought a different kind of hardship. Eventually, threats to his family's safety forced him to invest in security and hire a bodyguard. Initially, his fellow inmates were eager to befriend him thanks to his newfound wealth. But over time, powerful individuals turned against him because of his sour attitude. So, fearing for his family's well-being, he took threats seriously. Lee's personal life was also marked by trouble. He separated from his wife in 2003 and left on a series of adventures, including a move to London and later Kyrgyzstan, where he entered into a relationship with a 24-year-old student named Jika. Unfortunately, business ventures and property investments there led to the loss of £2 million. By 2010, Lee's fortunes crumbled once again, and he went through yet another divorce. Homeless, with nothing but a sleeping bag to his name, he spent 2 years living on the streets and bouncing from couch to couch. Currently, Lee's believed to be working as a cameraman and lives in a modest 2-bedroom apartment in South London, earning less than £10,000 a year. But remarkably, he claims to be happier than ever without the millions that once defined his life. 3. Marva Wilson. Back in 2008, Marva Wilson, a devoted lottery player from Kansas City, won over $2 million after buying a ticket for the Missouri lottery. Her lottery hobby brought her immense joy, and she actually had a knack for picking the right numbers. But Marva's joy quickly turned to anguish when a supposed friend named Freya Pearson took advantage of her. Pearson, pretending to offer help with tasks like putting a lien on Marva's house and doing her taxes for a small fee of $500, used deceptive tactics to manipulate Marva. Pearson also convinced the woman to transfer over $400,000 of her lottery winnings into a separate bank account supposedly set up for a non-profit organization. Marva had always dreamed of using her winnings to fix her house, send her grandkids off to college, and secure her life savings, fell victim to Pearson's shameless scheme. She expressed her frustration to multiple news outlets, saying how Pearson once even claimed to be boarding a plane, presumably with Marva's money in tow. In court, Pearson faced charges of fraud, money laundering, tax evasion, and much more. She was ultimately sentenced to spend 5 years in prison, but Marva wished for a longer sentence after feeling that Pearson destroyed her dreams and happiness. After going through what she did, Marva had a warning for future lottery winners, urging caution and emphasizing the importance of being smart to not fall victim to con artists who'll stop at nothing to take someone else's money. 2. Cali Rogers. Cali Rogers became the UK's youngest lottery winner at just 16 when she won £1.8 million back in 2003. Over nearly 2 decades later, she squandered her modest fortune on extravagant parties, designer clothes, drugs, and plastic surgery, later describing her winnings as a curse. But the pressure of it all compounded, and the sudden wealth led the young winner to battle depression. At one point, it was so bad that Cali even wanted to end it all. But now 34 years old, Cali's making a change in her life. She's going back to school to study nursing at the University of Central Lancashire after previously studying social care and working as a carer in 2018. She sees this transformation as an opportunity to become a better person and create a brighter future for her family members. Her earlier years after winning the lottery were marked by lavish spending, including £18,000 on plastic surgery, £250,000 on cocaine, and £300,000 on clothes. She also gave away £500,000 to her friends and family, only to realize that some were just taking advantage of her naive generosity. Cali's life took a dark turn. She got into a car crash while high on cocaine, was assaulted and left with injuries, and she experienced financial troubles that led her to rely on credit. Despite the challenges though, she doesn't regret her win. Instead, she advocates for raising the minimum playing age to 18, since she believes 16-year-olds are not properly equipped to responsibly handle such large sums of money. Lottery rules were later changed in April 2021 to increase the minimum age to 18, a move Cali supported. And now for number 1. But if you want to hear even more stories, stay tuned for some extra content that you might have missed. 1. Lou Eisenberg. In 1981, New York, Lou Eisenberg won $5 million, the world's biggest jackpot at the time. At age 53, he decided to leave his job as a light bulb fitter and went from rags to riches, rubbing shoulders with famous celebrities like Oprah Winfrey and enjoying expensive trips to Las Vegas, Paris, Hawaii, and California. Nicknamed Lucky Lou, he loved his newfound wealth, declaring, "For 53 years I've been eating bread. Now I want to eat cake." Lou's win gave him a massive boost of confidence, a significant change from his anxiety-ridden days spent as a light bulb fitter. He enjoyed 2 decades of an extravagant lifestyle, even becoming friends with other lottery winners like Curtis Sharp, who won $5 million in 1982. The two even made an appearance together in a New York Lotto commercial in 1985. After years of spending, Lou's savings dwindled and he moved to Florida, experiencing a series of multiple marriages and divorces. And despite his spending spree, he had no regrets, enjoying a comfortable income for over 20 years. But in his later life, he lived modestly in Florida, surviving on his pension and government assistance. Lou Eisenberg passed away in August 2021 at the old age of 93, leaving behind a legacy as a celebrity lottery winner who made the most of his fortune.
Number 10. Bucket List. A 19-year-old woman from Homestead, Florida was arrested back in early 2022 for trying to escape an officer. Afterward, the suspect, Jania Shamirical Douglas, confessed to a Monroe County Sheriff's deputy that getting arrested had supposedly been on her bucket list since she was in high school. For her thoughtless actions, she was charged with eluding and fleeing. According to the police report, the deputy that arrested her witnessed the driver of a Toyota brand sedan driving recklessly and speeding on Card Sound Road around 7:47 a.m. When the deputy turned on his patrol car's sirens and lights, Douglas refused to pull over and instead just kept driving southbound until she was eventually stopped at a 3-way intersection. As a result, the young woman was sent to jail. The outcome of the case, though, has yet to be seen. Number 9. Drunk Bus Driver. In March of 2023, a school bus driver from West Virginia veered off the road with 50 kids on board and almost crashed after getting behind the wheel drunk. 33-year-old Casey Dodrill admitted to drinking after failing 3 sobriety tests, according to local news outlets. He told officers that his reasons for committing the crime was because he had a lot on his mind. Dodrill was seen driving erratically with students from Golly River Elementary and Richwood High School. A teacher's aide from the county school district was the one who filed a police report. The aide told dispatchers that Dodrill had swerved off the road. The driver reportedly blew a .118 on a breathalyzer test, which is way over the legal limit of .08 in West Virginia. Melissa Adkins, the personnel director for Nicholas County Schools, told reporters that they were handling the matter very seriously. She explained that parents put their children on a school bus every morning and that they have every right to trust that the driver will transport their kids to and from school safely. Dodrill was arrested on a DUI charge after the incident, and the case is still ongoing. Number 8. Don't call the police. In 2010, a 27-year-old man from Bridgeport, Connecticut robbed a Fairfield bank. For his crimes, he was sentenced to 9 years behind bars. Albert Bailey did the one thing you shouldn't do before a robbery. He called the business beforehand, telling them he was on his way. According to Howard Stein, the senior assistant state's attorney, the police got a call from a worker at the People's United Bank on March 23rd. The employee said that they'd just spoken to a man who demanded $100,000 in large bills over the phone, who also said that someone would soon come into the bank for the money. The polite robber asked them do not call the police because they were monitoring the police scanner. Bailey apparently told the worker that he wasn't afraid to take hostages and could easily turn the place into a bloodbath. Without the robber physically in the store, though, employees were able to easily lock the bank's doors. But they were unaware that Bailey's cousin, who was only 16, was already inside. The bank then got a second call from Bailey where he asked the bank worker if she saw his associate. Meanwhile, the man's cousin had silently placed an empty briefcase on the teller's counter. Still on the phone, Bailey then instructed the employee not to make a scene or else they'd start taking hostages. So a teller placed a wad of cash in the briefcase, and afterward, the cousin then met Bailey in the parking lot of some nearby condominiums where he was waiting in a getaway car. Luckily, the authorities showed up right as Bailey was driving away. When officers pointed their guns at the robbers, they surrendered. All the stolen money was recovered and returned to the bank, and while Bailey received a 9-year sentence, it's not clear what consequences his younger cousin faced. Number 7. Zachary Ton. In June of 2013, a Boston thief who stole a woman's wallet inside a schoolyard was captured by the police after he accidentally left his birth certificate at the crime scene. 26-year-old Zachary Ton from Connecticut was arrested and charged with unarmed robbery. The victim reported to the police that she'd left the Fields Corner T station and was making her way through the schoolyard at Harbor Middle School when the robber came up behind her. Ton then snatched the woman's clutch wallet, which contained $40 in cash and her ID. But in the process of doing so, he dropped 2 bags of his own. He left behind hygiene products, clothes, and a pair of sneakers. But at the top of the bag was Ton's birth certificate, which immediately identified him as the thief. Just hours later, Ton was apprehended only a block away from the crime scene. He was booked into jail on a $500 bail. Unfortunately, not much else is known about this case, so it's unclear what Ton's punishment was. Number 6. Bad Luck Bandit. In 2018, a man known as the Bad Luck Bandit tried breaking into a business in Suitland, Maryland, but things didn't go according to his plan. Luckily, the incident was captured by the restaurant's surveillance cameras. On the 20th of September, using a brick, the thief successfully destroyed the front glass window of the carry-out business. But that's where the bandit's luck ran out. The suspect then used the same brick to try and break the glass protecting the restaurant's front counter. He unfortunately failed to notice that the glass was bulletproof, and because he didn't know any better, he tried to shatter the glass 3 times. On the thief's 3rd attempt, the brick flew back at him and smacked him in the head. After taking the hit, the suspect fell to the floor where he laid there for a few minutes. Eventually, though, he stood up and decided to leave after failing to rob the place. Surprisingly, the Bad Luck Bandit was never caught or identified, but the police called on the public to report anyone they saw with a suspicious head injury. It's now been over 4 years since the incident, and no arrests have been made. Number 5. Candace Keane. In Columbus County, North Carolina, a woman was arrested on several drug charges after the police got an anonymous tip that she was going to smoke some marijuana during a Facebook live stream in late 2021. At 9:15 in the morning on December 2nd, the local sheriff's office was told that 33-year-old Candace Keane was preparing weed to be smoked during her social media stream. So investigators reviewed the woman's Facebook account and watched the video in question. Afterward, officers showed up at Keane's home and spoke with her about the illegal narcotics seen in the video. Based on what a spokesperson for the police department wrote, Keane didn't deny that she had drugs in her possession. During a search of the woman's home, investigators found and collected a controlled prescription medicine that wasn't prescribed to Keane and an unspecified amount of drugs. After her arrest, she allegedly threatened to pee in the patrol car, which she was taken to jail in. In the end, Keane was charged with possession of drug paraphernalia and possession with intent to manufacture, sell, or deliver a Schedule 6 controlled substance. She was then booked into a Columbus County jail and her bail was set at $4,000. Some people just aren't that bright. Number 4, substitute teacher. When you're a teacher, there are a few things that you should never do, like bringing a weapon into the school. But apparently, 26-year-old substitute teacher Kiara Nashe Ansley didn't read the memo and brought a stun gun into her classroom in March of 2016. It was her first day subbing at Jefferson Davis Middle School in Jacksonville, Florida. Ansley's attorney, Dexter Davis, explained that his client felt intimidated by some of her students who surrounded her desk and were screaming at her. According to a police report, Principal Nydia Ashby was told by a student that the substitute teacher in room 730 had a stun gun. Ashby then went to the room to ask Ansley if it was true. The teacher replied that she had it in her purse. Afterward, Ashby contacted the school's resource officer, who confiscated the weapon and escorted the sub to the principal's office. Ansley had the purple stun gun in a black holster. The official report claims that Ansley showed her students the dangerous device and possibly even discharged the weapon in an attempt to get her classroom to calm down. This was supported by the fact that a student claimed they saw and heard a taser. Davis said that as the unruly students continued antagonizing Ansley, she told them that she had a taser and wasn't afraid to use it, although she never actually pointed the weapon at any children. While most people know that you aren't allowed to bring things like a stun gun into school, Ansley claimed that she didn't realize she couldn't have it in the classroom. As a result, the substitute teacher was charged with carrying a weapon on school property, which is a third-degree felony that's punishable by up to 5 years behind bars. But unfortunately, even though this incident happened back in 2016, it's unclear what happened in the end. Number 3, cyber criminals. A 15-year-old cyber criminal from Scotland was arrested by British police in 2016 after hacking into the FBI systems. Have you ever heard the saying, just because you can do something doesn't mean that you should? Well, this warning fell on deaf ears since everyone knows you shouldn't mess with the FBI. Under the Computer Misuse Act of 1990, Britain's anti-hacking law, the teenager was arrested for accessing the agency's digital material and hacking. Federal agents fled to Glasgow to carry out a raid on the 15-year-old's home before proceeding with the criminal's arrest. He faced a trial in the U.S., but his extradition was blocked by Home Secretary Theresa May under human rights laws. The operation in Glasgow happened a few months after another Scottish hacker, Gary McKinnon, was named the most dangerous hacker of all time. The suspect was believed to be an active member of a notorious hacking group called Crackers with Attitude. The hacktivists were allegedly behind a series of cyber attacks on the U.S. government as well as its high-ranking officials, which took place around the same time. According to a police spokesman who released a statement to a Scottish journal, the young criminal has since been released from custody but continues to be the subject of a report to the Procurator Fiscal. Information on the genius hacker is hard to find, but hopefully he learned his lesson. Number 2, cop deals with marijuana overdose. In 2007, a crooked cop from Dearborn, Michigan called 911 while he was off duty to report that he and his wife had eaten too many pot brownies. 29-year-old Edward Sanchez cooked up a batch of the marijuana-laced desserts using confiscated marijuana. During the 911 call, Sanchez claimed he only used a quarter ounce of the drug, but said that he and his wife had eaten the whole pan. Never before experiencing the intense high, he felt way out of his league and reported the incident only an hour and a half after eating the brownies. In the phone call that went viral, Sanchez said that he thought he and his wife were dead. The cops believed that they were experiencing a marijuana overdose and requested that officers come by his house to rescue his dumb ass. But if you weren't aware, overdosing on marijuana, even if you've consumed extremely potent edibles, is extremely hard to do and has never been reported to cause death. The blitzed officer told the dispatcher that time was passing by really slow. And then he asked what the score was for the Red Wings game that was apparently happening that night. When authorities got to the couple's home, Sanchez initially claimed his wife had taken the weed out of his police cruiser when he wasn't paying attention, but later confessed that he was just blaming her. Somehow, both Sanchez and his wife avoided any charges, but the officer resigned from his position on the force later that year. And at number 1, this baby is not for sale. In 2022, 49-year-old Rebecca Taylor from Texas was charged with sale or purchase of a child after randomly asking a mother how much her child cost while in a Walmart checkout line. The incident happened at a store near Houston. A mother and her 1-year-old infant son were buying their items at a self-checkout register when Taylor commented on her son's pretty blue eyes and blonde hair. Afterwards, she asked the woman how much the child was. The mother initially laughed at the comment, thinking it was a joke, but Taylor then said she had $250,000 in her vehicle to buy the baby. The mother refused to sell her child and waited for Taylor to leave the store before reporting the conversation to police. When the mom headed out to her car, Taylor stopped her and her baby once again. She upped the price that she was willing to pay to $500,000. She also apparently said that she wanted the boy and that if she couldn't buy him, she'd just take him instead. Even after the mother locked her and her child in the car, Taylor continued asking for the boy. Luckily, Taylor eventually got into her vehicle and left the scene, but a warrant was obtained for the woman's arrest and she was brought into custody on January 18th. She was booked into jail on a $50,000 bond, according to Click 2 Houston. Taylor managed to meet her bond though, and it's unclear what other consequences she faced afterwards.
If you won the lottery, would you pay off all your debt and save as much of the remaining money as possible? Or would you go on a spending spree and buy everything you ever wanted, not caring whether you spent it all or not? Let us know what you think in the comments below. And if you're new here, subscribe to the channel to be notified when we post a new video. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.